Mechanical engineers solve complicated equations and perform simulations all day, and then they use the resulting information to build the best product on the production floor. And they absolutely make bank for this. Yeah, that's also what I thought. Today we're going to discuss things that I wish I had known before I decided to become a mechanical engineer. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video to fully understand important things that will help you to decide whether this is the right path for you and how to maximize your success if you do become a mechanical engineer. So the first thing that I think I wish I had known before studying mechanical engineering and becoming a mechanical engineer is that employers create jobs based on their own needs, not based on our interests or our skills. So I'd say think about a time that you needed a specific thing and you were willing to shop around and pay market price for that specific thing. So let's say your air conditioning in your house broke during the summer and you needed to buy a new one and get it installed. This isn't really an experience that you wanted. You're having to take time to shop around for the right system and the right contractors to install it, and you make a large dent in your savings for this, which is why you need to use a lot of effort to find the right one. So it's quite time consuming. And for the most part, this is exactly how employers hire. One of their current employers resigns, or the employee moves up the company, or there's otherwise a position open for some reason, and they need to take time and budget to fill that position. They need to decide what kind of person would fill the gaps they now have. They need to interview a bunch of people and hope that whichever one they choose works out well for them. So whatever thing that we decide right now that we're really interested in, whether it be rocket propulsion or power generation in dams or wind turbines, there has to be a gap in a team, and you have to have what that team needs in order to fill that gap in order to get that position. So this will most often include, yes, your degree, but more importantly, you need experience doing similar enough things that they won't be spending months training you, or they don't have to think about what kind of costly mistake you can make and such. So they're not just going around and picking you up because you have an engineering degree, and they're not just going to create a job that has your specific interests. You need to fit what they're looking for and what they need. And if you don't, you may find yourself unemployed. So the most important thing in order to fit what an employer is looking for is to get practical experience, especially in internships or otherwise with a company, ideally. But you need to build up to this by accomplishing things in clubs, research projects, and other opportunities while still in school. I personally graduated with very little practical experience and accomplishments besides my classes, and I struggled to get a job for a while, and I just got lucky and got one. Don't make the same mistake that I did. Before we continue, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel to continue hearing more advice about engineering careers and how to be successful in them. So the second thing that I wish I had known before studying mechanical engineering is which jobs do which things. So it's easy to imagine that the things you learn in your classes, like stress analysis, thermofluids, and control systems, are directly applied in your job. And in some cases, this is true. In a lot of cases, though, engineering jobs can be a lot more of boring, tedious work than you're expecting. One guy that I worked with for a year just walked around the foundry all day and tracked certain products in the process, and it was super tedious for him. And you can guess how quickly he left that job. So it really ties back to what I mentioned earlier, where the jobs that employers create are going to be filled with tasks that they need done, that make them money. So jobs are not necessarily just an extension of what you used from classes in college. Even the kinds of jobs like mechanical design and analysis that do more directly utilize the skills learned in engineering school will have their own times of more boring, tedious tasks depending on what phase of a program you're in. And the third thing that I wish I had known before becoming a mechanical engineer is, what does $65,000 actually get you? So, when I was starting to study mechanical engineering, I was told that the average salary of graduates of the engineering college was $65,000 a year. To be fair, this is the starting salary, and so you do make more over time. And I would say this $65,000 a year seems quite accurate just based on my own experience and what I've heard from other people. But when you're not used to funding your own life with your own money that you are making yourself, you can't really fully understand the type of lifestyle that a certain amount of salary can afford you. I didn't even know that about 25% of that $65,000 was already going to taxes. Then you want or need a certain amount of that contributed to your 401k. Well, that is, unless you plan on not retiring and possibly being screwed in old age if you can't work. But I digress. If you do want to contribute to your 401k and be able to retire eventually, then that's going to take up quite a bit of it as well. Then housing takes up a good chunk of that, of what's remaining after that, and then all other necessities. And so the amount that you end up with left is often much lower than you expected. It's not like you're screwed necessarily. You are actually doing much better than most other college graduates. But you don't have as much room to just buy whatever things and experiences whenever you want as it might seem when you first hear that 65,000 number. So you'll still need to budget and live within your means. And although you can't fully understand this without living it, it may be a good exercise to practice budgeting $65,000 based on researching what realistic lifestyle costs are, or better yet, if you find a current engineer who's willing to help you understand this, if they're willing to share some numbers with you and how they crunch them, that could be really helpful in that case. So the fourth one that we're going to talk about is flexibility or lack thereof. So I also somewhat thought that getting a mechanical engineering degree means that I will always be qualified for any mechanical engineering job. And that's just not true. There's tons of specialties in mechanical engineering, and the ones that you've been doing for several years of employment are the ones that you'll be qualified for. It can be harder to make a jump from aircraft propulsion to designing bridges 10 years into your career. So ideally, you get it right the first time. This also directly affects other lifestyle factors. Certain industries are located in certain geographical areas, which that limits where you end up living. Some industries have drastically more opportunities for remote work than others as well. Some types of jobs, like in manufacturing plants, will also be a lot more prone to night shift work than jobs like mechanical design that tend to have more standard hours. But jobs like mechanical CAD design, you'll also just be at a computer all day, which is a downside for some people. So this is where talking to engineers about different types of jobs can help you to clarify what's important to you so you can aim for it early on and take the right steps to get what you want in that first job. The fifth and final thing that I would like to talk about that I wish I had known before becoming a mechanical engineer is that the earlier you start accomplishing things and gaining experience, the better. This is kind of a wrapping it all up type of topic because I kind of touched on this stuff earlier, but one of the biggest things that made my job search after graduation so difficult was not having internship experience. And probably the reason why I didn't get internship experience, despite applying quite a bit, was because I didn't try to solve practical engineering problems in extracurricular organizations or research projects. I just did the classes, pretty much the bare minimum. Internships didn't come my way, and then when I graduated, all I had to talk about in job interviews was my classes. I was unemployed for about 5 months, and then I got lucky. And that was in 2017, which was probably a much stronger job market than 2026 is. So the reality is you'll have the best chance of getting a job that you'll actually enjoy, let alone one, if at all, if you research the position yourself and as someone can contribute to real world projects and organizations and stuff you do in research with a professor and internships, then to your entry level job. Just getting through all that progression of different experiences and skills is going to do a lot more for you than your classes will in the end. As mentioned earlier, it doesn't get handed to you because you have the degree. So that's what I've got for today. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for sticking around to the end. If you liked this video or found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so you can stay tuned for information and advice about engineering careers and how to succeed. I hope you have the best of luck in everything that you do and find what you're looking for. Peace out.